2. Yeah, it's live. So Mondays, well-grounded Rubyist. We discuss for 1 hour whatever we'll have covered. We appreciate whether it's 1 page, 10 pages, half a page. We'll really appreciate that. And we normally do random selection of who is going to lead the session. Okay, from all the participants. And should we do that today, or should someone just volunteer? We should randomize. Okay, so there's a suggestion that you should randomize. Don't worry, Faith, you'll not be randomized. What are you saying, Kevin? You've conducted the last 2. Okay. It doesn't matter. What do you mean it matters?
The next 5.
Okay, so we are doing a random one again today. Let's pick numbers. Let me just share my screen. Let's hope that the Mombasa team will join. Share my screen, start up that. Okay, right. How many are we? We're 3 over here. So we take numbers. Getty, what are your numbers? Magic numbers. 0 and 3. Okay. Kevin, 1 and 4. And that leaves me with 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and 5. Okay. All right. So let me just do that and do a random of. Oh, and we have Moses here. He hasn't joined. We have an extra person. He's Moses. He'll be joining us shortly, hopefully. Or will you be watching from our side, Moses? You want the link to the Hangout, or you okay? This is Python. Yes. Yeah, that's Python. This is Ruby. Okay, yes, please transfer to this other side. So we have 2 mob sessions going on. We have the Python one and the Ruby one right now. So we can do random for 5. 2? Who's 2? Oh, no, it's me. Oh, shit. Hopefully I won't be... Yes, Getty, you're taking us through the session. Thank you. So the last time we discussed, where's that book? Where's the book? Okay. Seems I can't find the book. Dolphin. Go to Dropbox. Books. Ruby. Well grounded. Yeah, so the last time we went through, while Getty setting up, the last time we talked about how classes call their methods and where they get their methods from. We understood that classes get their classes also behave like objects. So they have the ability to accept methods. Whenever you say file.new, you're actually calling the method new on the file class. Whenever you say ticket.new, you're calling new on that. Ticket.submessage, you're calling some message on ticket. So some message is a message, which is a method in Ruby. Now, the question was, how do they know that they can respond to that message? There are 3 options. They can get the messages or the methods. When I say method and message, it's technically the same thing. So they can get it from their own class, okay, from the super class or the earlier ancestors of the class, or they can get it from their singleton methods. Okay, those are the 3 places that classes can get methods from. Then right below it, it's been explained how they can get it from the 3. Okay. How does it get it from the class? Whenever you define a method like the attribute accessor, if it's defined on the ticket, then it's called directly on that. Singleton, when you say ticket.mostExpensive, then you pass in the ticket objects. Oh, sorry guys, if you're really not understanding this. There are more details right above. So, but just in case you want something clarified, you can just ask. So when you call most expensive of the ticket, this at method definition, we're defining a singleton method, most expensive on the ticket class. Okay. So that's what we did here. And now we have a most expensive method on the ticket class. And that class is an instance. So that makes this a singleton method of this particular class. Too much. Okay. Don't worry. With time, all this will make sense. So after talking about that, we had a question on at what point should we write a singleton class, a singleton method of a class, or why would we write a class method? Because in Ruby, a singleton method for a class is also called a class method. A singleton class for a singleton method for a class is also called a class method. For example, we've used Ruby on Rails before, and at one point or another, you'll find yourself doing something like user.find, passing the ID. Find is a method that you're calling on a class because user is a class. This is, in most cases, a singleton method. Okay? That you pass the ID, it will call this method on this particular class. So why would you want to do this? That's what we're going to discuss today. Okay? Any clarification from the participants before Getty takes over? Okay, none. So we can start the mob session. Take it up, Getty.
Sorry, I was confused. Okay, so we'll start. Okay, so let me just share my screen real quick. There. Did I close the book? No, it's here. All right, so when and why to write a class method. Okay, so before we've discussed have we discussed about instance methods?
Technically, yes, previously, but you haven't really concentrated on the instance methods. So far, we've talked mostly about the class methods.
All right, so a class method is a method that is called directly to a class, right? So someone might ask a question of why exactly we need class methods. When exactly do we use class methods rather than instance methods? So there are operations in a class that can't be performed by instances. Let me just go through this. There are operations in a class that can't be performed by individual instances. For me to get to understand this section, I actually looked at the examples that they give. And they gave three very distinct examples, the first one being the new method. So to create an object, we need to call new on a class. Never are we going to call new on an object to create a new object. I hope I'm making sense.
Because the object does not exist, so you can't call the name on an object. Because new is the object.
Exactly. And that is why new is a class method rather than, yeah, that's how I understood it. That's the first instance they've given. Okay, instead of me rushing really quick, let's just go through this. I'm in the third sentence. We can call ticket.new because until we've created an individual object, we can't send it any messages. Besides, the job of spawning a new object belongs to a class. And so I've said new is an example of a class method because in order for us to get a new object, we need to call .new on a class. So that's the first example of a class method. Secondly, we have the file.open method. Sorry.
I think I can mute you. So when you're talking about, sorry about that. When you're talking about, just go back to the book. Okay, when you're saying that the only situation, okay, the first situation is you need a class method to create an instance. So this means that, yeah, to create an instance, to create an object, yeah, you need a class method to call it on the class and tell the class to create an object from itself. Makes sense? Yeah, you need the class method new and call it on that class so that it can create a new object. Okay, so it won't make sense for you to try to create an object from a class with where actually can you have the method that creates an object from the class if not on the class itself? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why it really has to be a class method. I think Getty has okay.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I hope we've understood everything about the new method. The new method is the most basic class method that we use to spawn a new object. The second one is the .open method. So what what the .open method does is that it opens a new file. Is it? Yes. A method that, as you saw in chapter 1, opens a file for reading and writing. The open operation is a bit like new. It's a bit like new since it initiates file inputs and returns a file object. So when we call .open on a file, I believe it brings back the file content. It brings out the file, sorry, the file content in that we say that is the object that it's giving us since we called .open to it. So you're requesting the creation of an individual object from the class. The class is acting as a point of departure for that object that we've asked for. So since we've asked for .open, it gives us the content of the files. I hope we're okay. If there's any question, you can always ask. Then, do you have
Could
anything?
you,
Sorry.
guys,
Yes. Go on.
could you say that when it initiates a file input, it basically initiates like opening the file,
Exactly.
if that makes sense, like telling it to open the file?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
Okay, cool.
Sibu, do you have anything to add on that?
No. Okay, I'm talking through your microphone.
Okay.
Okay. So just go back to the
Sorry.
I can see it's saying that the file operation is a bit in the sense that wait, the open operation is a bit like new. It initiates file input and output and returns a file object. Also, this means that okay, yeah, just interesting. Okay. Go back to the
I was talking to myself all that time. Sorry, guys. I really talked to myself for quite a long time. So, when you say file.open, you're actually reading the file from the hard disk and creating a Ruby object out of the file. Okay? So, since you're creating a Ruby object...
Wait, can you say that one more time, Sigu?
When you do file.open,
Yeah.
you are creating a Ruby object from the file. Yeah, so you create a Ruby object from the file. So from the book, it's saying that the open is a bit like new. It initiates and returns a file object. this makes sense for open to be a class method since it's creating a new object. Okay, so if you're requesting for creation of an object from a class, then it actually just makes sense for you to have a class object out of it. Okay, this class is acting as a point of departure from the, well, what's that? What does that mean? This class is acting as a point of departure from the objects it creates. What's that? Yeah, it's a point of departure for the object it creates. It's creating a new object. Really? How do you understand that, Eba? I'm trying to understand it. Huh?
Yeah,
do you
can you
understand?
say that? Sorry, I was thinking. Can you say that one more time?
I can see this class is acting, the second last paragraph. Can you highlight that, Katie? Yeah, right there. This class is...
You're requesting the creation of an individual object from the class.
Yeah, now after that, this class is acting as a pointer. Yeah.
The class is acting as a point of departure for the object it creates.
Yeah, I'm really not understanding that.
Yeah, me neither.
Faith, any idea?
I'm guessing that like the class, yeah, I don't know how to explain that. The class is acting as a point of departure for objects.
I personally don't even understand that.
I'm guessing that the class, like, I'm trying to find a good example to explain this, but I mean, the departure for the class is, yeah, I have no idea. See, I have zero idea.
Actually, for me, I also have no idea what that particular statement means.
I can't explain it. That's more it, because like it's, yeah, I don't know what other words I can use to explain it.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay. Happy to see you here. Yeah. Okay, we can continue. Yes, Katie.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll try explaining this part, that part. The class is acting as a point of departure for the object it creates. I'm thinking, since we've called .open on the class, right? SQL says that when we call .open on this class, it creates a new object. And on that class is where this object is coming from. So I just think what this person is trying to say is the class creates the object, basically. He just had to use some classy ass terms. But I think that's what it means. Yeah, so, all right. Okay, so the last method, I'm going to speak slow. Okay, so the last method is the most expensive method. We define the most expensive method up here. I'm wondering if I should go back. Most expensive, most expensive.
Yes.
Where was it? Is this too far?
Yeah, we've gone too far. Just hold on. Yeah, so up there, you're almost there.
Here.
Right there.
Okay. So this is the method that we had defined earlier. It's a class method. So the fact that it's a class method, we can always call it on this class, the class ticket. So, and we knew, we discussed that when we were discussing this, it was clear that any class method cannot be called on an object, even though that object is an instance of that class. I just thought that was a point for you guys to note. Let me go back to where I was. No, we are so not there. Where are we? Here. Okay, so ticket dot most expensive. We had defined this most expensive method earlier, as we've seen. So finding the most expensive ticket is a list of tickets that can be viewed as an operation from above, something that's done collectively. Here we are. To tickets rather than something that's done by an individual ticket object. So the way these people are defining this is that when we're using a class, when we're using a class method, it has to refer mostly to a collection rather than to a specific object. So in this case, it's referring to more than one ticket. That's why we're using this class method. If I was only referring to one similar ticket, I could have as well just created an object of that class and called dot most expensive on it if it wasn't a class method. I hope you're okay. Okay. Sigo, you have anything to add on that?
Of course, I can't miss anything to add. So let's see. Getty, you are sharing your screen. Let's just switch back. Okay, so the second scenario is talking about ticket dot most expensive. In this scenario, if you have a couple of ticket objects and you want to check which of the objects is the most expensive, the method that checks the objects should be, okay, cannot be one of them, if that's making sense.
No.
I have 5 tickets. I want to check which one is the most expensive of the tickets. Now the tickets are objects. Okay, I want to see which one of them is the most expensive. How can we go about this? Let's have that discussion. How can we check? Okay, let me open up my terminal. Share my screen first. Screen, come here, and create a ticket. Ticket 1. Oh, plus ticket. Equal ticket. What's new? Oh, let's have T1. This is the first ticket. Let's create another ticket. So between, okay, let's create a third one. So if we have T1, T2, and T3, how will we know which of these tickets is the most expensive? Let's have a discussion on how we can do this. Any ideas? Random, crazy, stupid? Any idea on how we can do that? I'm waiting.
How are the prices attached to it?
Okay, so the prices we can. Okay, let's assume they have prices, or should we have the prices in them? I actually assumed, so we can have ticket. No, this won't work. I tried this last time. So let's create a class ticket that has then T1. Whoa, what am I typing? Then T2. Then T3. Now they have the prices. So what's the best way that we can check for the prices? The highest.
I think it would be easier to place them in a collection. I'd probably place them in an array and
Okay.
then check the most expensive one.
Like that. Okay. Then check on after after putting them on an array. What do you do?
If at all they had prices, you could check the maximum with dot max maybe.
Okay, so
Uh,
you can give them prices. Okay, let's give them prices. So T1 dot price 30 bob. T2 dot price 40 bob. T3 dot price. Okay. Now we can create a new array with T1, T2. Okay. Now we have them. So how can we get the highest priced? Dot
max.
max
Yeah. Ruby has that method.
tickets max by. And you pass in the price. I think we need to convert this into a block. Then it gives us the ticket with 50. Okay, so this worked. Any other suggestion on what can work? Put them into an array, then call max by. Any other suggestion from any other person? Kevin, nothing? Okay, you can check. You can check my mic.
Can you or you can?
Yeah, you can hear you.
Okay. So another way would be, since T1, T2, and T3 both are ticket objects, you can create a method checking for the maximum in the ticket class.
Okay. Let's stop at the point of creating a method. Okay. So let's consider scenarios of how we can create a method. Where can we create a method?
The other scenario, for creating the method in the ticket class, that will be instead of such that, like what you are doing, instead of, because to reduce the work of, like here we first assign the tickets in an array, after that then we check marks. So we can have one method that does all this.
So the short is that you can have a method. You can have a method that calls max by on all the tickets, that takes in the tickets and calls max by on them. Okay, so where should we place this method?
This method will be in the ticket class.
Okay, any other option? Any other place you can have it? Any ideas from Faith or Eva or Getty? So what Kevin is saying is that first of all we put this into an array, then we call this max by. Okay, then it gave us back this. Now Kevin is saying that we can have a method that does both at the same time, so that when you call that method once, it will do this. Okay, let's say it's for example, you can say the method. If you call the method and give it tickets, it should be able to give you back the maximum price. I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making sense, Faith? Okay. Silence. Eva, am I making sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand everything, but yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we need to create a method that if we call it and give it the 3 tickets, it should give us back the ticket with the maximum price. That's basically what we're trying to do. A method that takes in tickets and gives us back the ticket with the maximum price. Is that clear now?
Okay. Yeah, it's clear. Initially, I was saying we have to define the method inside the ticket class. But I think, as you can see, that means it's not, we are not going to redefine the ticket class and put it inside there. So we are going to create a method. Now that's the class method here that belongs to the ticket class.
I think I'm confused.
Really confused me. Okay, any other person who's lost and confused? Because I'm now lost and confused. Okay, let's take a step back. We have a ticket T1, T2, and T3. Okay, the tickets are in an array. Then after we have them in an array, we call the method max by the price, get that back. Now we want only one method that if we call, for example, if we call it the method, give it, actually it should not, if we give it the tickets like T1, T2, and T3, then it will give us back the ticket with the maximum price. Okay, so let's call that method our high. Let's define the method our high ticket like this. Okay, then it takes in any number of tickets. The star means that you can give it 1, 2, 3, or whichever. Okay, so it takes in any number of tickets. Once we have the number of tickets that has been passed in, we can say let's dot max by, and we need to do that. Okay. So every time we say our high ticket, if we call it and give it the tickets, it should give us back the one with the highest price. Is this making sense so far before we move on?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Eva?
Yes, it does.
All right. So let's say
So as we create this account, we will have.
thank you. So if we call our ticket and give it T1 and T2, should be T2. If we give it T1 and T2, it should give us back T2. Okay, like that. So this is T2 with a price of 40. If we give it T2 and T3, it should give us back. Which one?
T3.
T3. It gives us back T3, which is 50. And if we give it all of them, but the beauty of having the star tickets is that you can give it any number of tickets that you want. If you say that, it will still give us back that. Okay, so this method works. It's called our high ticket. But the problem with this method is that it needs a receiver. Okay, we have defined the method our high ticket. Where has it been defined? In which class? Because all methods are defined inside either a module or a class. So in which class is this defined right now? No idea. Is there a way of knowing where a class has been defined? Yeah, where a method has been defined. Is there a way of knowing that? So let's go over to, where's my browser? Ruby, where method has been defined. Let's see if I'll get an answer from that. How to find where a method is defined. At runtime, let's see. Source location. What on earth is not happening here? Seems like too much information going on here. Caller. You can use the backtrace there. Oh, source location. Is this possible? Let's try. Okay, so where exactly is it? So we defined this, our high ticket. Who can guess where it was defined? Because we did define it.
Is it on the main?
Yes, it was defined on the main.
The main.
Yeah.
The main of main. Let me just say main.
Okay. So it was defined on the main as its class. Okay. Now, if you don't do something like this, class, my class, def, my method, and this method, def, my method is inside my class. But if we say def, my method, and it is not defined inside any class. Okay. So if you do this inside IRB, then you've defined it inside main object, which is the overall class for everything in Ruby.
Makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Noticed in your pry there is that in bracket main.
Which one?
In the pry.
Mhm.
What can that mean? Is it the class you're talking about?
Yeah, it's right here. Main. Okay, so can we change it to my class?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, for instance, you're not using pry, you're using IRB,
Mhm.
and you're doing the same thing. So, are you still going to say it was defined in the main?
It is. Here's IRB.
Oh, okay. Mine isn't showing that. Mine is showing numbers and only. Okay, so something.
All right. Asante is thank you. Asante actually means thank you in Swahili. So this is defined inside my class. This is not defined anywhere, so it's defined inside the main. So if you need to call my method, this one, you can say, can I do this? Okay, let's do that. Main object. I'm doing guesswork. Let no one blame me. Main dot not working. So either way, when you call my method, it will be called from within my class. Okay, this will be called from within the main. Now this means that when we defined this, our high tickets, okay, then we call our high ticket over here. It means that our receiver is the main. Okay. Now in this case, when we said tickets.max by, then our receiver is tickets. And tickets is this collection that we created here. If you are on the IRB and you call a method without giving it to the receiver, then the default receiver will be the main. Now, in our case, we do not want our receiver to be the main. We want the receiver to be the ticket because it is related to the tickets. Okay? Up to that point, are we together? Okay. All right, thank you. So if we are together on that, then how do we define a method, our high ticket, on the ticket class? So that whenever we call it, we can say ticket dot our high ticket. Then we pass it the tickets. This is what we want. Okay. It's weird that it's calling it on the ticket. I don't know how. Ticket class, ticket attribute. I can see it's working over here. So this is now the receiver. Okay. I don't understand why it's giving us back. Let's try this on the IRB. And copy this. Or class. Attribute accessor. Price. And then we can now define this. And then can we say ticket dot our high? Okay, so it's still working. I really don't understand. Anyone with an idea why it's working? Because if I call with its ticket as the receiver, it's still working. But basically, the point is that if you want to work on instances of ticket, then you can't have the method to be an instance of the ticket. Because T1, T2, T3 are instances of ticket. Now we want to compare the prices of T1, T2, and T3. We cannot define a method in these instances that will work on all the instances. We need to define something that will work on this. It's like you can't, technically you're not allowed to judge, you're not allowed to set the exams. Okay, I'm looking for a way of explaining this. At the end of every term in school, exams will be there so that you can know who is the brightest in quotes and who's the dumbest in quotes in this particular class. Who is the judge of the dumbest and the brightest? It cannot be the students. Okay? It is the teachers who set the exam. Cannot. So for you to work on a group of students, you need a teacher to give the final judgment. If you have a competition, you need a totally different person to judge this group of people. I don't know if I made sense or if I confused up everything. So basically, you can't have an instance method of ticket comparing other tickets with itself, if that made sense. Okay? You guys are awfully quiet.
Sense.
So you were asking why the ticket class is responding to this method.
I'm really wondering why the ticket, this our high ticket, this ticket is responding to this method. Or I think I know why. I think I know why. This pure speculation. Our high ticket has been defined on the main. Okay? Ticket, if you ask ticket for its class, class. Its superclass is object. Oh, the main has been created from the object. So when you define a method on the main, then ticket will have it. Yeah. Because in one way or another, ticket inherits from the object, which is the main object here. Yeah, that's my speculative explanation. Does that make sense? My speculation.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Any clarification as to where we are so far? Nothing. Okay.
Hey guys, my internet disappeared.
Yeah, I realized that. So we have two EBAs. Can you tell the other EBA to go away? Our old joke that never runs out. So I think that's it. Faith,
Yes.
is all this gibberish making sense?
Yes,
Over
it
here.
is.
Okay. The other EBA's left again. Seems she has internet connection issues. Katie is saying she's okay. Kevin is.
I'm still here.
Oh, so the other one was the wrong one. Okay.
Yeah, probably. She's trying to replace me.
I wonder why she will do that. your evil twin. Okay, so Getty, take it away. We have 6 minutes, I see.
Let me continue sharing. Yeah. Okay, so we've dealt with the final. We've dealt with the final example that we were given. So the first was the new method, of which you've seen you can only call .new on a class in order for us to create a new object from that class. The second was the file.open method. The open method, what it does is that what does this do? It opens a file for reading and writing. Yes, and it creates an object, in that process. The final one is the most expensive method, of which we defined earlier. Since it's a class ticket, we can always call it on the class for us to get the most expensive ticket out of a collection of tickets. Okay, so I don't know if we should move to this converting the converter thing. Hope it will end before 4. It's not that long. Okay, so basically we have we've been given a method here, a method about temperature. The first method converts temperature from, I think, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah, and the second all right, so since we have these two methods, we have the converting the Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So the main question here is why we used a class method rather than just using methods. We could have as well declared this as class temperature. Then inside this, we could have called this def C2F with this, rather than calling temperature.this. So this is a class method rather than an instance method. So the idea is that we have temperature-related utility methods pertaining to temperature as a concept rather than to a specific temperature. So if we're using a specific temperature, we'd do an instance method here instead. Let me just show you how it would look like. Can you see my screen, Ruben?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a class, I have a million typos. For example, we have a class kitty, and inside here, I define a method, a class method, maybe kitty.left with anything inside. I really suck at randomizing. And inside this, what do? I maybe say take till and multiply it by 10. And this Yeah, and end my class. So we could do this. By doing this, actually, I should be using more than, wait, I'm confused. Wait, I need to refer. Honestly, I am confused. Why are you using a class method here? Okay, let me take this. This will be simpler. Perfect. Rather than using a class AP. There. So if we do this, we have two methods here. We have the Celsius to Fahrenheit and the Fahrenheit to Celsius. So Sigu, when I'm doing this, do I need to create an object for me to call this on? Then how am I supposed to call C to F or F to C if I don't have an object currently? Faith or Ebba, someone help me out here. I'm wondering how this works.
I'm also wondering. This is really like.
I thought I had it before I lost it. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, so in this case, we have a temperature.
Sorry, here's this one.
Let's go back to the time. Okay, so we have a temperature. We have the temperature class. So, for example, the first method converts in Celsius to Fahrenheit. So, assuming we were having, we have some temperature reading we want to convert to Fahrenheit. That will mean for you to access this method, that's it, you have to create an object. Yes, you have to create an object and call that method, yeah? But in this case, we are dealing with temperatures, so depending on the temperatures, you don't need to create, for example, if I have different temperatures, I don't need to create an object every time I'm converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. So assuming I was having like 6 readings. So without a class method, that means I'll be creating an object for all those. I'm creating an object for all those temperatures. But with the class method, I only have one method that converts the temperature to Fahrenheit. I don't know if I'm clear.
Yeah, it's totally confusing. We can stop it at that. Then we have a better explanation next time, probably. Whoever will be randomizing. Should we randomize you next time, Eba?
Yes, sure. But I need to make sure that I read it before because now I didn't have time. But okay, so next time we're gonna continue talking about this.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to start from there and continue the talk.
And what are we talking about tomorrow? A JavaScript?
JavaScript, what are we supposed to do? Let me check on the calendar if it was created. Let me see.
Yeah, and invite me to that one as well, please.
Yeah, it was never created. Who's supposed to be creating JavaScript? Kevin. Okay, he'll create the event and send you an invite. It will have the description of what you're going to do next.
Cool, okay. Yeah. I can join the one on Thursday and Friday as well.
Don't forget you have a pair session on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, 10:30, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and Getty, I think you can finish us off for the day.
Right. Thank you, guys. I should get a lot of critics of how I presented, just so I could make it better next time. So, Eba, how was it? Honestly.
I think you did a really good job. It's just that I wasn't prepared because I didn't read the text before. So.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Nice to see you. See you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.